And I have this week's installment of Ezekiel Kralen's ongoing story about the two little dogs, which is still about the two little dogs after all these years, and it's kind of astounding. He could have broken their necks, is the title of this story. Excuse me just a moment. Well, okay. I'll just take a sip of tea here. Clear my throat with a harumph. Harumph. Ezekiel Kralen wrote, Email correspondence, July 4th and July 8th, 2023. Subject, Deke's Saturday afternoon meetup, excellent, continued. Yes, since 1985, in fact, I affirmed. Some people think I'm homeless, but I actually advocate for them, and that's why you see me out here like this once in a while. Well, maybe if I leave this with you, someone else will come by who's famished, she said, then set the bowl down beside me. Fine, I replied, a tad miffed at the imposition of having an open bowl of food placed on the edge of my humble space, raising the bar for even more well-heeled pedestrians to label me a bum. I kind of doubt someone will, but you never know. She then took off, tottering toward the corner where she paused to look up the 16th Street hill behind my building. A few moments later she returned in my direction, stopped beside me to retrieve the bowl, and said, I know who could use it. Got it. I know who could use it. Great, I grinned back. If I weren't watching over those two hounds, that's what I'd be doing, walking around to find someone to appreciate a good meal. Oh, that's not true, Watson. I would have just set the bowl atop a trash bin and walked off. I was just being courteous to the seriously soused Samaritan. When she departed once more, I thought, now where is she going? Curious, because I didn't see any hobos milling around, up or down the block or across Market Street, not even one. I watched her approach the corner once again, but this time she turned left up 16th and disappeared. Oh, right, I realized. A few vagrants are camped out halfway up. Been there 4 or 5 days by now. But what about the metal bowl? Will she pick it up later, or will she be too drunk to remember? I presumed the latter, and gave the pooches another sopping down with the bandanas, wishing for a cool breeze to kick in. July 8th. A real shocker, I know. This was after Deke had not shown up. I'm sorry, there's a title on this. I had the dogs over last night. A real shocker, I know. This was after Deke had not shown up for 8 hours, though he said he'd be back in 1. And I couldn't possibly stay all night outside with the pooches, and it was close to 9 p.m. I thought he might have been arrested or something else awful had occurred. Around 9 o'clock, one of Deke's friends, whose name I later learned is Richard, came by on his bicycle and asked, Have you seen Po' Boy? So I told him I'm worried because he was supposed to return hours ago, and I'm here watching the pups. If you run into him, please tell him Zeke is here waiting for him, I added. He said, okay, and off he went. But he returned 40 minutes later, only to tell me he couldn't find Deke anywhere. Of course, anywhere excludes a much wider circle of all the possible places my Cajun doofus could be that he didn't visit, humanly impossible. Well, thanks for trying. Much appreciated. Have a good night, I replied. Just when Richard placed a foot on the pedal, about to depart, I called to him. He could have just fallen asleep somewhere. He's done that before. Though there was one other consideration I had in mind over his, quote, disappearance. He was punishing me for what happened that morning. He had asked me to watch the canines for an hour. I said, okay. Then he demanded I hurry up and bring them a meal. I thought, why rush? He just said he'll be out here another 10 minutes or so, but I didn't bother to question him and returned to hovel to prepare the victuals. Once accomplished, he told me to untie the leashes from the cart, but the knot was so convoluted and intertwined with the handles of a cloth carryall scrunched beneath a weighty pile of debris, I gave up, told him to do it himself, and with that, he exploded at me for not following a simple request. Simple, I declared. That knot's impossible. You made it, so you undo it. In fury, he began to yank hard on Lucky's leash, causing the poor doggy some grief as he released it from the collar. Then he yanked on Flacco's leash in the same rough manner, and that is when I grabbed her tether to stop it from pulling on her neck and got right in his face. Stop it! You could have broken their necks! Well, that really shocked him, Watson. I was quite incendiary myself. He jumped back in alarm, and in so doing knocked over his 5-foot speaker, where it crashed to the concrete, though appeared none the worse for the fall. "See what you did," he hollered, but I totally ignored him, though angry as fuck, and gently unclipped the leash from Flacco's collar. Both dogs ran off in glee some 20 and 30 feet up, with Lucky sniffing about while his sister happily sat by the front gate, hoping, of course, to be allowed inside. He then calmed down, finally got the leashes unraveled, and handed them to me. "I'm going to tie them up to the parking meter, as usual," I said, "then bring 'em their meal." To be continued.